Hello and welcome to a 50-cent tour of Wednesday, June 5th, 2013. Please find a seat on the Liberty Bus and we will begin our tour of today's news. We're all Bradley Manning. Just a reminder that Bradley Manning is on trial now. On June 3rd, trial proceedings began. They'll last well into summer. If we can pray for Bradley, to think about him, remember him. He's in dire straits in many respects. They've kept him in a 6x8 room with artificial lighting 23 hours a day. There are photos of him that have been released, and looks like he's having a pretty rough time. Freedom of the Press Foundation, Bradley Manning trial transcripts online. They evidently they've denied press passes to 270 out of the 350 media organizations that applied. But Freedom of the Press Foundation has crowdsourced funding to place a professional stenographer in the media room covering the trial. We will post full transcripts shortly after each day's proceedings end. Hopefully we can hold these people accountable. Obama wants whistleblowers silenced. Well, duh, right? So this is the struggle that's taking place. And this is a part of it. Alice in Wonderland Media Takeover, Part 2 of 3. And I did not read Part 1 or Part 3. But I happened to notice this on the Vatican Project, and it seemed relevant to what's going on with Bradley Manning, just in light of the powers that be, or as some people like to call them, the powers that were, do not want the truth out there. And this is the great struggle. There's some documentation here that indicates that people in the media are not willing conspirators in submarining the truth, that some of the members of the media actually are under mind control. The real, eye flickering, triggered, all of a sudden everything changes to a different alter mind control. So that's something to definitely remember. I believe this is probably one of the reasons why there's such a big move to get everybody chipped and whatever, to use the internet. That's the push that I've talked about with the Motorola. Here's another dissolving microchip that will tell Big Brother your every move. They want to have some kind of a unique identifier, not a password. It's not something that you control, but something that they control, that will be required to go on the internet. See, a lot of us have managed to slip through the cracks and get some truth out there and bring real issues to light, and all of us together are helping, in the demands that we're making are helping to set the agenda instead of allowing the press to set the agenda. So of course they don't want an independent press that can't be controlled. They want a handle on everything. So I'm seeing this. My gut is, and there are lists of the agenda and the attendees for Bilderberg. My gut is that what they really want and what their real thrust is at this time, and I've mentioned this a few times recently, is to build systems that prevent all of us from freely exchanging information on the internet. That would pull the plug on whistleblowers. That would pull the plug on people like Alex Jones, although he's on the radio and he's in print, because he's anticipating that they're going to try to block him. But, please, let's not voluntarily accept things like this. Now, some different information. New topics. Behind the rise in house prices, Wall Street buyers. You may have heard that there is an increase in housing prices. And, I know I've wondered why, most people I know are pretty much struggling financially, certainly not looking to trade up in housing, and a lot of people I know aren't in that good a standing with the bank to get a loan. But all of a sudden, there's a new housing bubble. Yeah, it is a bubble. What has happened? Well, large investment firms have spent billions of dollars over the last year buying homes in some of the nation's most depressed markets. The influx has been so great and the resulting price gains so big that ordinary buyers are feeling squeezed out. Some are already wondering if prices will slump anew if the big money stops flowing. This is market manipulation. This is just another place that guys who manipulate the market have found to turn some dials and get some cash out on the other end. And, this needs to stop. I mean, we keep hearing that Basel III has been, the new banking regulations have been instated, and when will we see it? Everybody's just, we're holding our breath to see it, but these kinds of things keep going on. And, this is all technically legal, but market manipulation is bad for everybody except the guys who are manipulating the market. Another form of manipulation here, the racist war on weed. A new damning report by the American Civil Liberties Union illustrates how costly, ineffective, and racist the policing and criminalization of marijuana has become in the United States. A black person is 3.73 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than a white person. And what are prisons? Well, prisons are two things. They're basically factory farms where, essentially slaves. I mean, these people, the prisoners, don't have a choice. Their labor is sold. And so the prisons, the corporate-owned prisons make money from the taxpayer by requiring us to support these guys, and they make money by selling their labor. So there's that aspect, and, the criminal school idea. If they go to prison young enough, they'll learn how to become a criminal, whether they were a criminal when they went in or not. And a little good news on the hemp front, California Senate approves industrial hemp bill. And, I do want to make a distinction because some people are offended when I talk about marijuana, and if I talk about it for cannabinoids for health, they, think it's just an excuse to legalize the party drug marijuana. I'm not against the party drug marijuana. I drink alcohol because it's legal. If marijuana was legal, would I smoke it? I don't know. Probably at times, but I really value my memory, and I do have a concern that it does affect your memory to some extent. But industrial hemp is completely separate. You can't smoke it. You can't get high on it. I've heard it gives you a headache if you try to smoke it. So it's just strictly practical. It's a building material. It's paper. It's textiles. It has many, many uses. And IR International, bringing you the news no one else wants to bring you. What really happened at the West Texas fertilizer plant? This happened right around the time of the Boston Marathon bombing, and people wondered if it was a distraction or what it was exactly. This article contends that it was yet another false flag attack. And this is, older news, as I believe this article is new, or at least I just found it. But I bring it up in light of something that Benjamin Fulford had on his weekly blog this week. And I don't, as I pointed out before, you can go to YouTube and listen to an audio of Benjamin's weekly blog, and I don't put out his entire weekly blog because it is a subscription blog, and I want to honor that. But this part, he pulled this from somewhere else anyway. These are some issues with Obama's birth certificate, and I think this is the most significant part of, factual part of Benjamin's blog this week. Who knows? It's hard to tell what aspects of Benjamin's blog are factual, but I am addressing something from this blog following the report on the fertilizer plant being a false flag, because at the end of this week's blog, Benjamin mentions concern that the cabal might try to pull something for 6/11. That date has occult meaning for them. The Bilderberger meetings are going on until a couple of days before that. And, there's always that possibility for a date like 6/11 that they will try to pull something. And I'm bringing it up because I hope that we can pray, and I've been praying, asking the Lord to block any evil plan for that day. And if you have a few minutes, I hope that you might consider doing the same. And for our good news of the day, just in light of living in a more natural way in harmony with the earth, honoring nature, the lesson of the Hopewood children. These were a group of children who were adopted in the 1940s, 85 children, and their parents were unable to provide for them. And Bailey promoted through his society natural health principles, and that's how he raised these children. And of course the results were very good, little short of miraculous. And for a more modern day example, if we think, well, that was the 40s, you couldn't do it now. Comparisons with the Amish. In many respects, one can draw comparisons between the Hopewood children of the 1940s and the Amish children of today. Like Bailey's adoptees, Amish families reject vaccinations and allopathic drugs, favor organic food, and live in accord with nature. Consequently, the Amish children are more immune to allergies, less susceptible to serious diseases, and much healthier than non-Amish children. And we tend to think that that's kind of a new issue. Problems with rich food, unhealthy food, whatever. As I read about the Hopewood children and the Amish children, it put me in mind of the book of Daniel and Daniel's diet. That when Daniel was taken away to Babylon, he was provided with some, really rich kingly food. And Daniel said, hey, let us be given a vegetable diet and water to drink. Then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's rich dainties be observed and compared by you, and deal with us, your servants, according to what you see. So he didn't want to eat all. There's probably a lot of food that wasn't kosher, and maybe God spoke to him. That, of course, Daniel and his companions on their diet of vegetables and water as opposed to rich dainties and wine were much healthier. The Daily Tour is a presentation of She Who Will Walk in the Dark Productions, and we do appreciate your presence with us today on the Liberty Bus. The dawn is coming, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will find it in your hearts to love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.